Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's live stream. Got some new things, as you can tell. I figured out some picture stuff, so hopefully we look a little bit better here on the stream. And we're gonna go ahead and get started here in just a few minutes. But yeah, this week we're gonna be working on a brand new image. So for the last 2 weeks we worked on a previous image that's up on my Instagram now and my Twitter. You can find both those links, I believe, in the description of this video. So if you want to see what we previously worked on, feel free, go check that out. Give me some feedback. And if you want to see a specific image for future live streams, go ahead and shoot me a message. Maybe there's a photo that you saw on Instagram that you would love to see done and recreated in 3D. Again, this is mostly for reference. We're using the images that we find as like a reference, as like a guide, and then we'll be modeling it, texturing it, lighting everything live. So without a further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the image. This right here is the image that we'll be taking a look at today. You might have seen it in our thumbnail already for this video, but I really liked the vibe of it. I liked the feel of it. And so I kind of wanted to try to take this and recreate it in Blender and then do some compositing in Nuke. So if you guys want to follow along, then go ahead and grab your own 3D software of choice. Mine being Blender, but you can do this in Houdini, Unreal Engine. You can do it in Maya, Cinema 4D, whatever works best for you. So let's go ahead and jump over to our 3D application here. Let me know if the audio is too loud, too quiet. I boosted everything again today, so hopefully the sound is a little bit better and works for you guys. And then, of course, we set up the lighting and the image a little bit better. So hopefully everything's looking good. I'm gonna look at it on my cell phone real quick. Yeah, it's not terrible. Alrighty then. So without further ado, now inside of Blender, I think the first order of business here, I'm probably going to grab this image. And again, we're going to set this as like kind of a background image to the camera, so that way I don't have to keep swapping back and forth. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Just go in by adding a background image. I can open that up from my live stream folder that I have here. Let's go ahead and add that. And then the only other thing we're going to do is, instead of stretching it, I'm going to hit fit. So now when I go to camera view, I can see my image right here. Now, kind of the first thing that I think we should do is align this photo a little bit better. We could use F-Spy, we could use something like that, but I think for our purposes here, we're just going to kind of eyeball it. Get ourselves to work. I'm using 3D cursors, that way when I rotate the camera, everything will kind of like line up from, everything will kind of line up with our cursor here. Ideally we want the world origin to kind of be in the center of our image, as well as setting up the plane of existence as well. So I'm just going to scale everything up here and then rotate our camera to kind of fit our setup. I think something like that will work just fine. The only other thing I want to do is under our settings over here for the render output, I'm going to set this to our desired film. So probably just match everything one for one this time. Rather than trying to recreate the wheel, we can use this directly inside of our picture. So let's go ahead and drop that in. I could scale that out. Now, now we can actually start getting into like some of the blocking of the shot. Let's go ahead and add some loop cuts in here. I'm just gonna kind of map everything out to our scene a little bit better. It works just fine for us. This will actually be a fairly simple image. I didn't want to go too crazy like last time where we had to do 2 streams. Because unfortunately I'm not going to be here next week, so I didn't want to start a stream and not be able to finish it before I left. So should be good. Okay, you guys are able to see the preview image down here. Okay, great. Allow me one more thing. I think under our shading here, let's go ahead and set this to random. And that way we can see all of our objects a little bit easier. I'm going to specifically grab the top ring. I'm just going to stretch that upwards. And for this, let's do that. I'm going to set over here our this into camera view. So that way we can kind of see what this image is over here as we're working on stuff. In the meantime, I'm just going to try to map this out. Oh, we don't want that on 3D cursor, so we'll do medium point again. Oops, let's go ahead and rotate that. I swear there's probably a better way of doing this, but I've yet to find that. We'll just line that up along our grid here. Should give us exactly what we need. And then great, yeah, this just goes off then. Just correct it so that way it follows a little bit better. The only other thing now is like we could duplicate this. I'm just going to take this to the floor now. Actually, better than that, I think. Oh, vertices, that's what I need. Let's grab just this section over here. We're going to duplicate this. I lined this up with that part of the image. Should be able to just extrude upwards. I think everything's kind of leaning in a weird way, so you almost want it to, we're just going to map it how the image is. Let's select this over there. Actually, we'll go to face selection, so that way I could just copy this entire bar and just drop that down. I think the trick here is going to be lining it up on the center. That should, yeah, it gives us like a really nice and like almost welded feel. And we can fix that later inside of like sculpt mode or something like that. Let's go ahead and select this post here, move that over as well. Let's grab this whole thing. There we go. Awesome. Okay, great. And that is just our railing that we have here. And then we can kind of like, I think I'm going to imagine that this goes down first and connects to this bottom rail area. Because I imagine that's what's going on here. If I select this cylinder first, just duplicate that. We're gonna scale everything down. And I think, just want to make sure that we're not doing anything too crooked here. I think though, now what we can do to fix these vertices here, because they're not exactly straight, let's go ahead and scale this to 0 on our x-axis. Scale that to 0 on our x-axis as well. And we can select this whole thing. And we're just going to move this back. I think probably that distance is fine. Line that up a little bit better. Allow us to line that up. Let's duplicate this and move this down on the Z-axis. And then basically, this whole thing probably can just be duplicated, rotate, 90, make negative. Yeah. I think now this can line up here. Okay, I like that. Now we'll just plug both of these directly into our middle of our pipe, like so. Now, okay. The other problem I'm gonna have is that since this isn't straight, I need to line that up. So we can just go in here now. And just line this up with the center of our bar on that side. And we could add poles here. I don't think right now we necessarily need to take care of that because from our camera's perspective, we're not necessarily seeing that over there. I do actually wonder, what is this guy? We'll get to that momentarily, I guess. I think over here, I just want, real quick, I'm gonna turn off extras, relationships, floor. Just gonna kind of get rid of a lot of these things just so that way we can see a cleaner image over here. Get rid of the X and the Y. Okay, awesome. Let's go ahead now and we'll move over to the other fence. I'm going to just add a cube in as a primitive. We could scale it down. Just line things up. We'll add more detail into these things later as well, so I'm not too worried about, you know, beveling edges or anything like that right now. Even though with the cylinders, you're not going to necessarily bevel the edges. But yeah, let's just go ahead and grab this. We're just blocking things out here. Just go into edit mode here. Interestingly, I think let's do this. We're gonna go about trying to figure out depth-wise here. I think it lines up to the bottom of that pole there. Let's select the top face here. I think now if I add in another cube, I can scale that down. Sometimes I just like to use like almost more of like a projection method. Alrighty then. I think now if I don't want to duplicate this exactly. I think I want to extend this edge here. Okay, great. Because then I think this kind of turns inwards on this pole here. So, okay, great. Let's go ahead and select this pole here. If I do something like this, we're just going to kind of match everything. I duplicate this, rotate this by on my y-axis by 90 degrees. going to extrude this out now. Select both these guys because this is supposed to live within inside of that pole. Just duplicate that down as well. And again, the real trick here is just blocking everything out. I think we kind of want to line this all up here. Let's do something like that's fine. Yeah, something like that is great. Let's go ahead and just make sure that lines up with our line here. Yeah, it's need to get myself a little bit more room. Something like that would be fantastic. Oh, I probably should do this. If I line that up, the only other thing I need now is to make sure that this edge on the outside goes far enough. Which we can fix by just making sure that's like a 45-degree angle on the X of that top part. I think just line that up like that. I think it's all about perception here. All right, fantastic. Now that we have this, it should be pretty straightforward to take. I think I just screwed it up. Just line that up with that face there. Yeah, I didn't realize that I was let's go back to the top here, extrude. Everything out. Actually, that doesn't make any sense. Did I just recently delete this? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, so we're gonna line up everything a little bit better. And then the only other thing is we need to line this up as well here. Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna grab this post here. Thing is, this is one of the skinnier ones, so we're gonna want this thicker one here to line up. And we'll grab this post as well and line that up to there, to the inside. Okay, there we go. So that is one little section completed. Pretty easy method from now on. It will be to just select the whole second half of this selection here. And we just need to line this up here with our original pole. Shouldn't be too terribly difficult. Yeah, that's fine. I think visually, for us to fix that, almost needs to be something like this. trying to line it up right here with this edge of this pole. I think if I do something more like that, then it'll work a little bit better. It's got to fit perfectly with inside of that, which just means that this top pole is not lining up now. And we can kind of fix that. We're just backing everything up. Oh, you know what? That actually makes sense. It's got to back up to the same spot that this is rotating on. So if we do that, let's go back to top view here. Make sure everything lines up still. I think. Select the whole pole. Just have to line up on these squares. Just going to select all of these posts here. Just going to fudge it a little bit. Okay. Just have to delete this guy. It's gonna work great. I almost want the, instead of this, can we do normals? It's weird that my normals are faced like that. I think it's because the outside object normals are like that. There might be a way around this, so that's what I'm trying to figure out if, like, guess not. We're just gonna have to do this the manual way. Not too bad. We do have everything selected here, though, so let's go ahead and duplicate it down. We're just moving everything across, line everything up, and then do the same thing again. And then I think if we just selected everything here from this long line, and then, oops, deselect that part. And we'll just straighten this out and connect that here. So already the hard part was done, so we just had to line everything up. Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna do another loop cut in here. Probably this is fine. If I do one about here, I can grab this, move this up. Scale of Y to 0, so that way we've got a flush edge. And then we'll just move that out. Okay, I'm gonna grab my camera here real quick, and then just so we know exactly what we're looking at over on the right screen here, I'm gonna just go to viewport display and then set pass through to a full 1. Let's do that. And then also over here, I'm gonna set this to our shading method to random. That way it's a little easier to see. I think there's a couple other preview settings as well that we can utilize. For instance, I can turn on outline and back face calling, I think. Or I don't like cavity too much, but that kind of gives you a little bit more of the 3D of it. Alright, great. I think there's this trash can here that I kind of want to make now. So let's go ahead and line that up. I'm just going to set my cursor right here. Again, that's just grabbing the cursor button and then going to camera view. And in camera view, you can just throw the cursor wherever you need it. So I'm just going to line this up at the bottom of the trash can where that should be. And we can start working on that. Again, we'll just start with a primitive shape. So I'll start with a cylinder. And, you know, we can go from there. So we'll add in a circle. Just roughly get that to the right scaling that we'll need that to be. I'm just going to get the size first. Obviously, we're going to have to go in and add some details here in a minute. But I think if we just do that, I think my camera angle is definitely not correct. I think I want it to be a little bit more parallel with everything, so I'm just going to do this. This is going to be better in the long run. And then with this guy, let's go ahead and select our whole top of our trash can here. And just get the scaling a little bit better. Now, let me grab my background image here. I need to be able to see what I'm working on. I'm going to just use the Y position so that way I can just be looking at this trash can as I'm working on it. And that way I can line everything up a little bit better. It's got these like pretty cool looking lines in here. There are ways for us to be able to do that. I think if I go into our face selection mode, I select everything, specifically actually this area here. If I press, I believe extrude, there's kind of like a way to inset the faces. And so if I selected every other face on this by going up over to select, and then you can do loop selection, I believe. There's like select loops. So on a pattern one, you could select like every other. I believe there's one. Select similar. I mean, I've always done this manually, but I remember there was like some trick, like some shortcut button that you could press that would basically do everything all at the same time. I guess for our purposes here, I'm just going to select everything really quickly. And then I'm going to delete only the faces on this trash can here. And I have everything selected. I'm going to go into our modifiers now, and then I'll just add in a solidify modifier. Change the thickness for our trash can. And on the inside, I'm actually just now going to apply that modifier. If I select this whole region here, I can extrude this, scale it in and down. I'm going to select the bottom ring of vertices here and just extrude that down as well. So that's going to give us a nice kind of like 3D texture here for the trash can. I want to create like this front opening on the trash can as well. I'm gonna first go into edit mode on this guy, make this a little bit taller, and we could just now add in outside in object mode. We can add in our like a cube of some kind. I'm gonna do this on like the front face so that way I can line everything up a little bit nicer. So I'll add in another cube, scale that up, and now this goes punches all the way through. If I select our initial circle that we have here, I can add in a boolean and select our cube as our object. That's going to be the boolean, And now if I apply that Boolean and I delete this, that'll create ourselves a nice little square. Now obviously that's facing directly on the camera, so I'm just going to rotate that a little bit away. And that gives us a nice trash can. I just need the lid on the top of the trash can, and then we're pretty solid. So I'll go back into edit mode. I'm going to select our top face here, and then I'm going to kind of just work my way up. The easiest way to do this sometimes is to just go to the top view, and we're just going to create ourselves a nice slope like so. Unfortunately, this one right here needs to scale in a little bit more. Oops. All right, great. And that gives us a, Jesus. Just fill that in like that. That's not exactly the same shape, so I kind of want it to be the same shape as the rest of the trash can in our preview over there. So let's go ahead and select this whole top. I'm going to add a loop cut in. Oh, you know what? I can't. Let's do it this way. I'm going to select everything except for the bottom rung. Can I not do that? I just need this bottom rung. I'm just holding down the middle mouse here, and then we're just going to deselect that. We already have the top cap now. I can just scale this guy up and then scale him out, and that should work. And there we go. Nice looking trash can for our viewing pleasure. Okay, fantastic. Let's jump to some other stuff here. There's really not much in this scene, so it's just getting everything to kind of line up and work. And then we'll play with it inside of a lot of the lighting is going to be where we're going to spend most of our time. And this gigantic bridge that's in the background. There is that. The bridge is there, so we're going to have to take care of that momentarily. I'm not really modeling anything past this walkway. Not really necessary. I think the only other thing that I'm going to do, I'll deal with it later, but we are going to set up some like flags back here that will be just like shaded black to basically be sucking all the light, absorbing all the light from this side of the screen, because it's a very directional image. So we'll be doing that momentarily. But let's go ahead. Let's see. We'll start working on the bridge back there, and let's start looking at how we're going to do that. Again, this is just a lot of primitives, so it's not that crazy of a build. It's just there's a lot of different things. I think the only other thing we could do is our fence post that we have here. Press all Control B. Just add in some bevels. I'm just gonna add tiny bevels. And that just gives a little bit more of a rounded edge to our poles that we have. Then if we shade this smooth, I think that could work, but I need to select faces. We'll just press Y on any of these straight edges that need to be lined up. Let's go ahead and just focus on this. If I select these outside edges on our trash can, do the same thing momentarily. Just select all of the outside edges. Honestly, we'll need to select the inside edges as well, so why don't I just start grabbing those as well, because we could do them both at the same time. So, outside edges, inside edges. The smoothing works great, except for anytime there's a 90-degree angle on your smooth. Which actually, wait a second. I think there's a way for us to fix that in our settings. Right? There's like a smooth option that allows you to customize the angle at which it like smooths an object. I remember seeing that somewhere. Unless that's like an old Blender thing and then they've changed that out since then. Whoops. Just go in here. Okay, that's great. Now we just press Y on our keyboard and that gets us all of our straight edges. Awesome. It's just a few more of these edges that we're going to want. We'll have some normal issues potentially, I think, maybe. I don't know. I think we're fine. Because now everything kind of looks really smooth and works really well. Awesome. Let's see. Let's move on to this bridge in the back, this behemoth of a bridge. I'm just gonna add a plane. Okay, so here's what we're gonna have to do. Let's create a plane. I'm going to set my end viewing distance to like 100,000. I'm gonna grab this guy. We're just gonna drop him really low, and this is just gonna be our water. So we'll just scale this guy up, and we'll need to select our camera, and then set the end clipping edge on the camera as well. So select the clipping edge and set that to 100. Now our plane that we have here, we can use both to projection map but also for the water later. So I'm gonna do this. I believe it's a good distance. It's pretty far down. I mean, we're faking a lot of this. Like, no one's gonna, because of course it's not 3D, or well, it is 3D, but it's not gonna be moving, the camera's not gonna be moving, although we could do a really nice push-in or something like that, and that might work. Maybe we'll do a loopable animation on this one. I think that would be kind of cool. But now that we have like our water source here and our origin, let's go ahead and just add a cube. I'm going to scale this guy up so that way he's about the size we need him to be. I think we'll just start with blocking him out. So I'm going to grab this and move that across. And I think, honestly, if we just add another cube in here, scale that guy up to the appropriate size. Move that all the way up. We're just going to start blocking this out, just like we did with everything else. Just going to make this go all the way to the top. And let's see, we're going to duplicate this as well and move this up on the Z-axis here. I think we can scale it down as well. We just need the center portion of it. I know if we add like a loop cut in the middle, we can easily cheat this edge here. Just do that a couple times. And then we'll get to the bridge momentarily. But now we have ourselves our first pole. I'm going to, for the sake of this, I'm going to create an array now. You know me, I love my arrays. And I'm just going to use that for our other bridge spot. I'm going to use that. So I just line up the angle a little bit better. Now I just have to go in and adjust my distance that this is going to be. we rotate this like so. That could work really well for us. Okay, and then now all we have to worry about, of course, is the breach. You know, okay, here's the thing. I don't think I like... This has to be set to 90. Set this to 0, and then that to 0. What am I doing here? Oh, right. Okay, let's go to our 3D object here. And if the rotation is like that, then my array distance... Just do that. And I scale this to be much farther away. I think something like that. Just gonna line this up. Is my camera lined up with everything? Just realized I'm using this as my reference here, but I believe my image is offsetted. There we go. I was wondering what the heck was going on there. I'm just going to line this up again with our first pole set up. And if we scale that guy up to match, it should match a little bit better to what we had. Okay, and so now let's work on some of the bridge aspects of this. Let's select these guys and focus on them. So we have this like kind of bridge that's going through the structure. Whoa. Select this, move this up. We're going to match it with our road. And the road is curved, so we do have some creative liberty with this. Let's grab this out, and then we're just going to match it. Don't really care that much about the perspective. Select this edge here. I'm going to go to the side view here. We're just going to kind of line everything up. Here's my second. Oh, right. Okay. Need this whole thing to be its own object, so that way I don't have to worry about the arrays being removed. All right, let's select this whole side here, and we're just gonna select the whole thing. Just going all the way. Let's grab this whole thing as well, and then we'll just move that down just to match. And yes, blocking. Oh my god, okay. Let's grab this. We're gonna line them up a little bit better. And there we go. I think the trick is just building out all the details on different part of the images. Just line this up a little bit better here. going to select everything like so. Just drop it down. Okay, now there's the different parts of the bridge that we can start building out some of the details on. For instance, let's go ahead and do this. Let's add a cube in again. It's like a lot of these things, it's like just the rough outline that you need because we already kind of know what our predetermined lighting is going to be. So, you know, a lot of this is just getting the shapes there. Alrighty then, and then let's go ahead and add in another cube. We'll just select the top of this, and we'll grab that down to here. Just to give it a little bit more details, and then we're gonna probably create the X pattern over here on our bridge. If we scale this up, I think that will work for us. We're just gonna need this shape, scale it out. Actually, we could probably do this first like beam. I think just lining that up here. Where are we at? Okay, so I think it's just one, right? And then it's the two X's above and below it. Yeah. So let's duplicate this. We're gonna move this up, rotate on the Y axis 45 degrees. I think let me do this first. If I take this guy, make him his own object, I'm going to move the cursor to selected. If I have this object and set the origin to the 3D cursor, I can now rotate this on object mode on the y-axis 45 degrees. This keeps the normals facing the directions I need them to. So now if I scale this by the x-axis, I can just pop that up. Then the only other thing I need to do is I can add a, I could just literally duplicate this, and then on the y-axis for it, I can rotate it 90 degrees. Rotate on the y-axis. What is that? Why is my brain not braining? I believe it should just be 90 degrees. Yeah, it literally is. I must have mistyped or something like that. Okay, awesome. And then now we can just move that down here, and that's great. Now, the only thing we're gonna need is, we could just duplicate this. I think that's the easiest method. Let's just duplicate this right now. Array this over here. It's like we're not going to see this, honestly. It's going to be far enough away in the fog that it's not going to be that detailed. But it's good that we have it, just in case. And now let's get this like big kind of arching beam here. like cable, I guess. If I select this, we'll just duplicate that one more time and put that all the way at the very top. And then at the very top here, let's go ahead and add in our, the easiest way to do this is going to be with the Bezier curve. So under curves, Bezier curve. Scale that guy up again, because everything is so small. Go into side view here. And then this should be relatively simple. We'll just select this guy here. And if we say Shift S and then we say selection to cursor, it will jump to the point we need it to be. And then now, if we grab this right here, which is over on that selection there, we grab our other side of our Bezier curve. Whoops. And we select that and then we say Shift S, selection to cursor. That should do the trick. Oh, oof. I didn't account for that. Apparently, that's wild that it does that. I don't want, oh, okay, yes, we can do that. Okay, fantastic. I didn't realize that you could deselect the sides. So now if I say this guy here, but deselect both those, Shift S, I keep pressing Shift D, I need to press Shift S. Okay, so I select this, deselect the sides, Shift S, selection to cursor. That should work actually. Yes, it should work. But I think I need to do it again. Shift S, selection to cursor. Boom, that worked. I accidentally did it on a duplicated object. But now if I select this bottom thing down here, do the same thing for the sides. So we're just deselect the sides, Shift S, selection to cursor. Now, in this particular instance, let's get our Bezier curves kind of lined up. I think we kind of take everything and then rotate that around. It's a really big dip. It's because everything is too large. Just kind of take the whole thing and scale it down. We're being realistic here. You don't need to do a Bezier curve. I just find that this is the easiest way of getting it to work. We're just going to the outside of the bridge and we will connect it to this cable spot here. Awesome. Okay, now that we have our Bezier curve set up, I think the only other thing is the top one just needs to be rotated down. And I'm just going to match the overall curve of the original photo just to get it as close as possible. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to go in here and then add an array, as I do. And we're just going to line that up with the other side of the bridge. Because it is pretty straight. And so we just need to line it up. You can use it twice. Actually, I'm probably not going to use an array for this particular thing. I think if I go into here to go to geometry, we could go to our depth and increase the depth. Something appropriate. Okay, fantastic. Now, if I just go to the top view, I need to make sure that the top of my is going into here. Okay, now we're going to just duplicate that. And yes. There we go. The only thing now is a mirror modifier, I suppose, we could use to flop it to the other side. Although I think it's just going to be easier for us to just duplicate and then rotate 180 degrees. And we're just going to move that, connect that, and we're just going to have this go more towards the center of the bridge. So we'll scale that up and then connect that down. Now, if I select this, I'm going to set Shift S and then cursor to selected, and inside of my object set origin to 3D cursor, I can now, assuming that this is a straight line, I can just mirror this by selecting mirror and then going on the y-axis. Now I'm going to grab Y and then just bring that out there. Cursor to selected again. Object set to origin to 3D cursor. Pretty close. Shift S, cursor to 3D object. And then object, set origin to 3D cursor. It's kind of like trying to line it up. So this is just going to make it easier for us to connect everything later. But we'll just go to the side of the bridge. And now, with applying that modifier, oh, you cannot apply it to curve meshes. Maybe I just wasted a bunch of time because I thought I was able to do that. Fine. We'll just go, I'll just do it myself. We're just going to go into edit mode, press extrude. Boom. I believe we just have to create the same kind of rotation and align that with the side as well. And that's going to give us our pole, or not pole, or like a steel cable, I guess. Just duplicate that to the other side of the bridge. Just make sure everything lines up. Okay. At that point, everything is kind of fading off into the distance, but I'll just duplicate our connection poles on the other side, rotate 180. Again, I realize everything's not lining up here, but that is a sacrifice that I will be willing to make. So I think in the photo it definitely lines up. Okay, and I just need these guys to move down. Fantastic. Okay, now we can work on the upward kind of poles. I keep saying poles, but I don't know if that's the right words. Like, is it a pole? What is this? I'm not a bridge maker. I barely know how to make one in 3D. Okay, let's zoom in on this. I kind of need this to be somewhat skinny. Let's grab the top face on this and then just make it go straight up. Okay. As long as the bottom face is connected, I think this will be decently simple. to do. Let's add these in. Alright, so everything kind of is pretty linear here. I'm going to first add an array in. And we will set this to 0, and then this to 1. Firstly and foremost. We're just going to do that. I believe. Now duplicate that onwards. All the way to the end of the bridge. Now we just have to apply this and then individually fix their height. I think this will work. The only other thing is they might not align necessarily from this direction. But we can work with this. So there's more like an automated way of doing this. I'm going to go in here and hit apply. We're just going to go into edit mode. Going to just one by one kind of align these. Just kind of align them with the pole that we already have here. The only reason why I went the array route rather than trying to do this individually at first was I needed the distance to be exact. Because it's like you're going to notice if the distance isn't quite lined up. Whereas I feel like horizontally here we could probably fudge it a little bit easier. Kind of getting everything to line up on the center line. Probably grab multiple of these, honestly. Just kind of get that going. Get that lined up there. Trick is to not get bored of this. It's just a lot of manual labor here at this point. We're going to somewhat be able to duplicate this to the other side, so I'm not too worried about that. Just getting the one side done, and then that'll work for both. So I'm like debating whether or not I actually want to go watch Oppenheimer again tonight, but my screening is until 10:45. And the movie is 3 hours long. And not that I mind that it's 3 hours long. I think actually I really enjoyed it. I've seen the film 3 times now, but I finally got 70mm IMAX tickets. So I was really looking forward to watching it. But the truth is, I don't want to get out at 3 a.m. in the morning. Like, that's just crazy. Like, not my cup of tea, honestly. But who knows? Maybe it won't be that bad. But, yeah, I'm trying to decide. I haven't decided yet, so it's still up in the air. I guess it depends on how I feel by, like, 9:45. If at 9:45 I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's make a night of it. Then yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna make my way to go watch Oppenheimer. But the movie, if you guys haven't seen it, is a pretty brisk, like, 3-hour movie. Like, it doesn't feel like 3 hours long. I've just really wanted to watch it in 70mm IMAX with, like, some good seats. So I watched it in the Chinese theater. Seats were just not that great, and I think it would be awesome to have better seats. So I scored some great seats at the AMC IMAX, and I'm kind of interested in checking that out. And seeing how it is. Because I think visually it's interesting. Visually, the color was different. Like, it almost looked like the grade was different between the digital and the film print of the IMAX. It was like, on the film print, everything seemed a little bit more contrasty. And the highlights were almost like blown out. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it seemed that way to me. There definitely was some imperfections in the film print as well, and I mean, I think that kind of adds itself to it a little bit. Adds like a bit of a nice flavor to it. I'm getting on the 70mm IMAX train, I think. Used to not care that much. I was just like, oh, well, I really just like watching movies in theaters. But I think that it adds and lends itself to the experience of a film. And I think people want experiences. They enjoy experiences in a theater. That's what they're there for. So that's my little sermon on why I think IMAX movie theaters are good. But this was the first time I ever saw a movie in IMAX 70mm. So I've seen, they do reruns of oh goodness, they do reruns of like 2001 Space Odyssey, and I've seen those before, and that was pretty great. Though I'll be honest, definitely a lot more film print issues with a movie like that, because, well, it's an old film. Alright, so now we just gotta line the top of these guys at with the steel wire. And then I can just duplicate this to the other side once that's complete. I will say, maybe I almost looked to see if there was a 3D model that I could just download for this stream, but I was like, nah guys, this is a 3D modeling live stream. If I'm not 3D modeling, then what's the point, you know? I almost did that just so that I didn't have to deal with this. Because I knew that this was going to be a bit tasking. For sure. Let's just do this. I'm just going to go up with all of these guys. Actually, it's not a bad idea, because then I don't have to reselect everything. Wow, I just found a way to be lazy. That's what I'm here for. Different methods of being lazy. So I think this weekend, my brother usually is the one that does the kind of the smoking of the meats in the family. But I think this is going to be my introductory weekend to doing it. Because I really wanted to, I mean, I own the Traeger that we have. So I really wanted to try to do it myself for once. So I think I'm going to. I think this weekend is going to be my christening of a smoker. And the good kind of smoker, kids, not the bad kind. Let's line that up. Yeah, this is a much faster way of doing it, I think. Guys, we're just going for that cinematic look. That's what we're going for. You have no idea how many times people have told me to try to make something look a little bit more cinematic. Still trying to figure out what that is, you know? To me, though, cinematic is Blade Runner. So we're going to accomplish that tonight. All I'm going to say is this time lapse is going to be the better part of this. Sometimes I make these things just to see the time lapse because it's not as fun doing it at the time, spending the couple hours to, you know, make these poles go all the way to the top of the bridge, but time lapse was going to be something to watch. I'm going to grab, I think. No, it went that low. I'm just gonna move that down to about the center there. Could probably delete these guys. I'm like halfway done with this, guys. Halfway done. Halfway done with the monotonous part. Then we're really close to getting into lighting. So lighting and shading is more of my favorite part. Personally, the compositing is kind of my favorite. I like compositing 3D stuff like this because you can use cryptomats and different methods to really have like the utmost control of literally every aspect of it, and I just love that. I've worked on a few films, like animated films, where it's great to see like the color grades of those types of films because they give you mats for literally every object in a shot. And it allows you to really kind of, you know, see and control pretty much every aspect of it. I think that's where the real power is. Hey, Jason, how's it going? Welcome to the live stream. Almost done with modeling these poles that are going up on this Golden Gate Bridge. It's a bit of a task, but we're almost there. I found the secret to it is just having everything kind of selected and slowly deselecting as we're going along. I think in the future, if I actually modeled everything to be a little bit more even, it would allow me to use like a Boolean modifier or something like that to kind of erase it. But I'm trying to match the curvature inside of this photo, and I'm faking it with just modeling it like that. This building is scary though. Every now and then I like hear a sound and I'm like, is someone like walking through the building? It's that would be a problem for sure. Alright guys, we're almost there. I'm gonna select the last few of these and then we can just duplicate it to the other side of the bridge. Then we can start adding the person in there. I gotta model the umbrella, little things like that. Person's gonna be pretty easy. I'm not gonna model that from scratch. I have a plugin on Blender here called HumanGen, Definitely recommend it. You can get it on the Blender Marketplace. Not sponsored, but I'd love to be, you know. But a really great add-on. Alright, fantastic. That's the whole freaking... Oh, yes! That was a chore. That was a chore indeed. Let's just duplicate that. Great thing is, I think everything should at least be pretty close. I'm not too concerned if it lines up perfectly or not, because I think it should, right? I think by the time it's that far away... Oh, I do need to fix that. Okay. We can fix it. Don't worry about it. Don't fret, anybody. We got this. I think the trick, though, is just selecting the initial cables that we have and deleting, duplicating, and using those. Because that's now going to line everything up a little bit better on our bridge. We need to make sure that this edge here doesn't look so far away. Shouldn't be too bad. Just do that. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Let's look at this in 3D. Okay, we're gonna need to add in our person now on our shot, now that we've got the bridge kind of modeled. Again, not too worried about adding too many details directly into the bridge. We're gonna fix a lot of that with shading. I'm gonna use Polyhaven for our textures. The link is in the description below if you guys are looking for that link. I use them all the time for all my textures that I use. But before we do anything else, let's add ourselves in a person. I think if I drop in my cursor there, I can... Oh, what am I doing? I can go into our settings here. Human gen. Add a generic person. Let's grab this guy. Looks like a dude. Could be a chick. I have no clue. We're just going to scale that up. Oh, 1 second. We'll get there momentarily. I'm going to hit random on everything. Let's find... That's probably fine. You don't need hair. I mostly just need clothes on him. So let's... We can get away with not having hair because he's going to be having a hat, and also there will be an umbrella, so I don't have to worry too much about that. The clothing, though, it's pretty limited for this, but I think we just need this raincoat. So now if I rotate this boy... Oh, we need footwear for sure. We'll give him pirate boots. We'll just give him garden boots for right now because it's closer to, like, I don't know, something that you would wear if it was wet. And then the only other thing I think, other than footwear, they have hats in here. I don't think they have hats. I just realized that this add-on doesn't have hats. Eventually there is this one add-on that I really want to get. I have it on my wish list, guys. I want to get this add-on that allows me to create... Whoa. That is not what we needed, guys. I wanted to get this add-on that's basically like Marvelous Designer, but inside of Blender. It allows you to do all of your clothing creation directly inside of Blender. I think that's pretty awesome. Let's see, let's scale this up a little bit. Something like that's fine. Just pose him. He's walking. I think something a little bit more casual like that. I'm gonna turn him as if he just walked up these stairs. I think it's just gonna make it easier. I need to see this for the posing here, if we just move him over and up, this will allow us to be able to see our image a little bit easier. Just want to kind of just get the rough pose down. What is, oh, there we go, there's the hand. Let's grab this hand here. Just a little bit easier to follow a pose rather than having to try to create one entirely yourself. For right now, I'm gonna leave it like this. We can model our umbrella, we'll come back, put it in the hand. Just put this guy's hand over here or something like this. Not gonna necessarily see it, but it'll be for us. It's just for us. You kind of see it in this photo. I think that works. Okay, great. I like that pose. We'll work with it. It's not exactly like the image, but it's gonna work for us. Let's go ahead and model ourselves an umbrella. Umbrellas are really simple, guys. It's really simple. I'm just gonna add in a cylinder. Let's do it like this. Add in a cylinder, scale it down. We can actually just use our reference image as we're doing this. I'm gonna go into edit mode. I think we'll go to wireframes just so I could select everything here. You're not gonna see this because it's gonna be in the hand, but I'm just gonna scale this up so that way I've got like a bit of like a handle on it. I got a handle on it, guys. Let's do that. Just move that up. All right. Select this top here. Go all the way to the top of our umbrella. And I'm just going to duplicate for simplicity's sake. All right. And I think if we scale that down and just so we've got a point. Cool thing about umbrellas is they're almost like low poly in real life. You ever notice that? It's like they have these like specific like curve shaped to them. But you know what I might have done accidentally here? Need to deselect, we need to deselect every other vertex or vertice. Again, I know there's a button. If someone watching knows what the button is, there is a button that will do this automatically for you. I just, for the life of me, cannot remember what that button is. Something I've slowly realized with like Blender is that there's just way too much. There's way too much to learn. Let's go ahead, drop. This isn't going to be perfect, but I want it to be. Let's just do this. I'm adding the cursor at the very top of the umbrella here. And I'm going to scale using the 3D cursor. So now if I scale in, it might work for us. See, okay, yeah, I don't like that. I think, let's redo this umbrella. Let's redo it. Because this is not what I want. So we're gonna delete this. We'll add in a circle. And this time in our settings here for our vertices, we can actually just change this. Because it's just too high poly. I think we just needed a lower poly. How many sprungs do a umbrella normally have? Let's just do this. Umbrella. Yeah, how many lines do we got here, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8. So I've got 14 right now. That was way too many. I had 32 before. Okay. So let's do that. We'll scale that down again. This time going into the top of our image. We'll extrude that. We're not using 3D cursor this time. We're going to use medium point. Scale everything out. And one last time. Kind of just overall following like the whole shape of that. I think though we'll be fine. There is this, I think if we did a Control R, I'm just gonna keep doing this. I want to edge loop the middle part, because then if I edge loop selected these guys, I could scale this up. Yes. And then we'll select a 3D cursor on this. Now if we scale it up, we're gonna get something that works a little bit better for our liking. Maybe grab Z and then scale slightly inward. Ah, it's just too much. Okay, one second. So grab Z, just a slight bit. You don't want it too much. And then scale that in. Perfect. I made the perfect umbrella. And just fill in that top there, and now we've got ourselves an umbrella. Wow. What absolute skill. That's good. I think only now we'll take this and say median point. Let me scale this up slightly, just so it fits our dude a little bit better. Just need that to be in there. He is holding it. Now I just got to get that hand to be posed a little bit better. I feel like this should be easier, you know? When 3D modeling stuff, it's like the character should almost just already grab things. That way you don't have to pose anything yourself. Okay. But happy Friday, everybody. Hope you guys are having a chill Friday. I certainly did. And a good way to end the Friday as well, with a nice live stream. And that is if I don't go to Oppenheimer at 10:45 p.m. Let's just rotate that around. Okay, awesome. Wow, he's actually holding it. Which is insane. All right, so we got ourselves a dude holding an umbrella with the ocean behind him. Just realized we need... Okay, I'm definitely faking this, and I know it, guys, I know it. But at this point, we're already kind of matching everything so much, so let's just do this. Amazing. So now I think, honestly, if we add the mountains back there, we're pretty close. Maybe some cars. We have to add in these lights that are on the bridge. And then it's just fog and texturing at that point to get ourselves the rest of the image. I think, let's see, if I grab this stuff here, let's go to this. I'm surprised actually I didn't make that go all the way. Awesome. I think, what am I missing here? Is there anything I'm missing? No. I'm just so confused. I looked over here and it almost looks like a double image because everything is just kind of moved and duplicated and stuff like that. I'm gonna add in the mountains back there because there are mountains on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge, by the way. Actually, there's mountains all the way around it. So go ahead and perfect. We will save that after, you know, almost 2 hours of live streaming here. I'm gonna hit the save button. Ladies and gentlemen, we are hitting the save button. Alright, fantastic. Honestly, we're getting there. We just need to do the lighting now. I'm gonna use atmospheric, I think, for this. And I have this plugin called Atmosphere. You know, we'll just turn on physical starlight atmosphere. And we're turning the density way up. Actually, I almost don't want to use this. Okay, now we're gonna add another sunlight in here. And turn off. You know what? I think it's just gonna be easier for us if we turn off physical starlight. We're gonna use this other sun over here. I'm just gonna use it to silhouette. And we're just gonna match our lighting like this. I'm gonna turn my angle all the way down. Oh, you know what? Actually, it does have to be higher. This is a hard one. I think let's set the intensity decently high. We're gonna have to add smoke in here just so we can see what we're doing. I'm actually gonna use the lighting of the scene here, using kind of like a drop shadow. And now the only other thing we can really do, we're just gonna scale up. Everything. And I think, let's see, that works really well. I know if I go to edit mode, select these bottoms, I don't need to go all the way down. The bigger your scene is, the more difficult it's going to be to render, so I'm just going to try to get that as close as possible there for what we're looking for. Go into render view, And yeah, a new shader. We're going to call this Thug. And then we're going to call this Principled Volume. And now we're going to open up our shader editor. I'm going to use this as our main reference image over here as we're doing our stuff. So let's get that turned on this screen over here. Okay. That's right, everything is dark because that's plugged into volume or surface rather than volume. So if we deselect that, it should be pretty good. I think the only thing we're going to need to do now is increase our intensity. That's right, I accidentally turned off my human gen visibility, so let's turn that back on. And we are going to select our color of choice as well. Oh, and bring that intensity way down. We'll go to our sun again. Let's see, what did I do? Is that my... one second. I need to make sure I can see what I'm working on here. So I'm going to go to View. We could just view that real quick. So this is our cube. I set the density to like 1. I'm going to change the name as well to Fog, just so that we can easier find that in our outliner over here. And actually, I'm going to create a new collection. This new collection we'll call FX, and I'm going to put Fog under the effects location. We'll call this Layout. Should be good. And then I guess there's a couple other. I'm going to add another collection, Lighting, and this should have our sun in it, and that's it. The only other collection I usually have as well would be like a camera, and we will select our camera and drop that in here. All right, fantastic. So we'll just go to render view here. I think I screwed something up with my volume, so I'm going to take a look at that. The anisotropic. Oh, emission strength. Is that what it is? Trying to figure out the settings here. Be right back. I'm hearing a sound. Just making sure one of the machines wasn't going to blow up. What we got going on back there. So let's see. We're going to just some of these settings. Let's increase the density to something like 1. Let's grab our sun, and through that we're going to need a much brighter strength. So let's do that with our fog. It's weird, I normally don't have this many issues with my volume. I'm gonna figure out if the setting is that I normally have for it. You can also just do this in post. I mean, it's not that difficult to do. I think I'm having issues. I don't know why that should have issues. Shouldn't have any issues. Is this just a Blender problem? Let me just save this and close it. I'm gonna try it again. I might be having a weird Blender glitch. Yeah, this is such a weird problem. Let's go to Eevee. Try rendering this in Eevee. Rather, since I haven't done any shading or anything yet, might as well try something. Just gonna go in here. We'll call this volume, principled volume, and let's connect that. And then our sun. I mean, I am blowing this guy out, so let's see if I can do this in Eevee. I've never used volumes with Eevee. Certainly going to be more of a stylized look. Yeah, I'm certainly not like an Eevee on as far as how that it handles the fog, and I don't know what the hell is going on with this fog. It's almost like maybe it's too big or something like that because it can't quite understand what I'm wanting. I don't know. Let's scale everything down. I'll try that. Just put it directly in front of the camera. Yeah, there we go. Getting closer. You know what? Maybe my density was just insanely high. I'm not sure what the density level is supposed to be at. But we're going to get that number down. Perfect. I love how the shadows are still so harsh on the ground. There shouldn't be really any shadows. I love that. I love that bloom. That's insane. Oh man. Holy crap. That's crazy. I love this freaking fog. It looks insane. Oh man, this is cool. Let's see what we're going for here. So I'm just gonna look at the full image as we're working on this. Let me swap you guys over so you guys can kind of view that with me. We're just adjusting some things here to try to get the fog to play exactly how I want it to. Probably gonna grade this as well, something like that. Oh man, that's pretty freaking cool. It's different than the image that I was initially trying to go for, but like it's almost unique in its own way. And here's the crazy part: I haven't even done any like texturing or anything like that. This is just straight this. Is there lens flares in fog? I don't think there is. I'm gonna add some side lights though. I don't really like the colors, but I'm gonna adjust for that like so. I think if we go to the lens dirt shader, no, it's not that. It's the ghost. Yeah. To do something like that. The brown I'm fine with. What I'm gonna do is, let's do this. Purple, red, might be a little bit more fine with, but let's do something like that. And then the blue, let's do something like that. This crazy, like you know, almost like it's bleeding into the image type of thing. I really like it. I do want to shade the ground and stuff because I do think that's important that we get that taken care of. So I'm gonna actually turn off our visibility to our fog as we're working on that. That's crazy. I haven't worked too much with fog before, so this is definitely a different task. Let's grab the ground here, hit new on that, grounding. We are going to jump over to Polyhaven now, and or Texture Haven specifically is what we're going to be looking at. We've got some textures and get exactly what we want. I do like this pattern cobblestone. I notice something like this is more so what was actually being used. So let's do something like that. Let's download that. Go back to textures. I'm gonna find some metallic for the post. I think this is pretty great actually. And then the trash can. I like this for the other pole. And I don't know about the trash can necessarily, other than, did I already download green metal? I don't think so. Anyone using this computer can see my downloads? What? Uh-oh. I didn't know that. I don't know why I was looking at it. I got stable diffusion here. So let's go to downloads. Just extract all. Fantastic. What was I going to use the green metal on? do the ground first. We'll extract that to here. Because that's the first one that I have. So we're going to add in our diffusion, our displacement, our normals, and our roughness. Just do that real quick. Okay, awesome. So if I look at this guy, definitely too big. Let's scale you by 10. Is there like a... I feel like there's a... Should be a way. Is there not like a number? Is there a way like I plug a number? Like an input number? Almost like math. Is it I guess maybe a math node, right? Value is like 10. Can you plug that directly into there? So now I can make the... Oh, that's insane. I didn't know you could do that, and this is gonna save my day forever. Insane. Okay, because I've always been like having to type in all 3 numbers, and it's the most annoying thing. Okay, let's click on this. We're gonna connect our vectors to our other textures that we've got going on here. One more vector. That's right, you can't see that. So this is basically what I just added, which was really cool. You just add a math node, like an add, and then this value right here is basically plugged into the scaling connection on your vector, and that allows you to have complete control over that number just from one number. Because I mean, how often are you going to have different numbers for the different parts anyways? All right, let's go into here, add in a normal map, and I like to set this to something like 5. Just gives it some real feeling. We view our... See, that's not going to work for me. I do feel like we have to have some RGB curves here. We're going to just add some contrast. Because I think maybe because I like work in like this linear pipeline type of thing, it doesn't work super great for Blender's textures. So at least what I've noticed. Okay, great. So let's view that. That's gonna work like a charm. Okay, our trash can. Let's go ahead and select that. New material. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Save. I don't know what it's doing here. That's weird. It's bugging out on me. I swear, dude, I'm having so many problems today with Blender. This is insanity. Gotta restart again. It's like crashing on me. This isn't even like a new build. It should just work. Yeah, let's new shader. Because I am in textured view or material view, I guess. This should just straight up work. Okay, let's go to solid view. Let's try to figure this guy out. So if I go to material, there we go. Okay, that was buggy as heck. Okay, so I've got the trash can selected here. Let's go ahead and add our trash can texture to it. Forget what we went with for the trash can texture. Was it the green? I feel like it was the green. So go back to our downloads folder. I've got my green material textures, and we're just going to build this together. So we're going to drop in the diffuse, the displacement over here, the normals, we'll drop in down there, and we'll drop in the roughness right here. Just viewing the normals, let's jump over to material view. I feel like we need to set the scaling of this, but I don't know what would be associated with that. But I'm going to press Control T here, add in our texture coordinate mapping, and then add in a math node. And if we set this value into scaling, this will allow us to adjust the scaling of our texture. The only other thing we really need to do, I'm going to select everything on our trash can over here and say Smart UV Project. Let's see. Yeah, Smart UV Project. There we go. Now we can see our material shining through on there. Don't quite need it to be scaled that high. Not really a fan of how it's doing that. Let's do project from view bounds. Should work better. Or let's see, cylinder projection. Adjust our scaling again. That's perfect. And again, that's just our photo. So we'll drop in our diffuse into our base. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, and then all of our vectors need to get plugged into this mapping node. Again, there needs to be like an automated way of doing this. Let's plug. You know what's interesting? I don't think I did that for this guy. Let's plug our displacement directly into the displacement, and then we will use a math node. Again, we're just going to multiply, not add, and we'll just increase this number. It can be decently high because the ground is pretty rough. So we're just going to again add displacement node. We will do our math, not add. We're going to use multiply, and something like that should be fine. We can add our roughness now in, and our normals. For our normals, we're going to hit search and then just do a normal map. Again, setting the strength to something reasonable like so. And our roughness, if we go view it, honestly, that should be fine. So now when we view our trash can, that will work. Go ahead and hit the save button on that. Let's select our post, rail. We're going to use rail. That's a good one. For our textures, let's go back to downloads. I'm going to use let's use rusty metal. Extract it. Yes, rusty metal. Shader, again, displacement. This is a lot of similar stuff. Drop all of that in there. Press Control T. I do wish that they did this as well, because like this is a time saver as far as like knowing what you want. Let's do that. We're using cylinder projection. If I scale everything up, I'm gonna get something closer. I think that's good. Let's use this whole mapping now to connect to our roughness, to connect to our normals, and finally to connect to our displacement. I'm going to use a math node, multiply, and put that into our displacement. And again, we'll plug in our principled BSDF. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, probably less so. It's got to be grungy, but not that grungy. The color into our roughness. And then finally, our normals. We're going to need to select normal map for bottom normals. You can multiply that by something. Something like that should be fine. We will use the same texture for these guys. So cube projection should be fine. Go ahead and save that. All right. Let's turn on our fog. I'm not liking the ground. One second. That kind of works for me for lighting that. I don't like the ground still, but we can get that fixed momentarily. Let's see. We're going to customize some of the lighting over here. So now inside of our 3D viewport, I'm going to add in some lights. Let's do a area light. And we're just going to light this trash can just so that we can see it. We spend so much time on it, it's going to look good. I don't know that I like this ground texture, so let's go back into our shader editor. It seems a bit repetitive. So if we go to material view, this is what we're going to do. It just seems very repetitive. So if we add in a Musgrave texture, did this before. Oh, see, it's already probably perfect for what we needed to do. I'm going to take this whole thing. And we're going to duplicate it. And we're just going to move it down. Down to here. And these, we could just move over here. Our final output. Our Musgrave is going to be great. Let's do, the bottom one is going to be like the wet water area. Let's go ahead and add in a curves, like an RGB curves. And we're just going to darken that up. And duplicate that. We're actually going to drop that into roughness. Because, again, we want it to be wet. We use a mix shader node now. We can actually connect this bottom one here to this shader here, the top shader that we created to the top shader, and then of course our height of the Musgrave into the FAC. And if we view that, it will give us this. We can always adjust our scaling as much as we need it to be. Perfect. And again, that works just how we need that too. If we go back into here, we can always make stuff darker, which we will. That's pretty great. Okay. Save. Render view. I do feel like it's empty over here. I mean, we can always just duplicate this like trash can. That way there's something. Okay, and then let's see. One more thing. We're gonna add in an empty for our camera. Oh yeah, we'll just call this focus. And then for our camera, let's we're gonna disable our background image. Select depth of field. Select focus. And we're going to adjust this aperture here. Curious if that's what we want to go for. Something a little bit more soft. I think that works really well for me. Just kind of like adjusting some of this stuff now. Here's the thing. Don't like this. These don't go all the way up, and they need to. So let's go ahead and select these. This is a pretty easy fix. I was planning on doing this earlier. I just got away with myself. So let's take a look to see what this is going to look like. Got this weird line that's happening here. I don't know what that is, and I don't like it. Let's see. Definitely less or more density. More density and less of a light bloom. Which we can go in and adjust for. So we'll grab our sun again. We will trying to get the shadows to line up a little bit better. What is that direction? X? Basically needed to be. Let's go to 3D viewport here. Where is my sun? Here it is. You know what I'd be curious about with the fog, if I increase the density, what that's going to look like. This is a lot of just testing here, just to get what we need it to be. So we're going to go over to our shader editor, and on our fog, okay, our density is so freaking low. Let's take a, what we're going to do, we're going to open up a math node. Now that I know the secret, I know the secret. Yeah, that almost is doing what we wanted initially. And I think the only thing from the other side of this image that we really need, this is where render times then get like really sucked up. If we add in an area light, realized I can't see that in that window over there, so let's go to 3D viewport here, go look at him. Okay, I'm gonna scale this guy up. Basically, from this end here, we have to have a negative number. If you have a negative number, it actually sucks light out in Blender versus adding it. So delete that. Actually, I almost think if we added a sun, it's going to do almost what we want. So let's go back into our 3D view here. It's giving us like a really crispy photo. Don't like it. Okay. I'm gonna go in here and we'll make some adjustments. Just trying to give some shape to the background. This isn't necessarily realistic, but kind of like it. If these lines are an issue, we can actually also just fix that ourselves. So let's go back to our lighting, our sun. Let's decrease. Where's that second? Oh, you know what? That's just too far away. The density is just too high. Let's go in here. We can fix that density issue. Go back over to our shader editor. And let's decrease the density. Oh no. What an issue. Okay, well, it's 0.936. It creates more of like that omnidirectional kind of like lighting. Let's go into our saturation here. Bump that up. The ground has a bit too much specularity on it. So I can fix that. Let's go into this area light here just to double check what we're doing. This is the negative number one. I do think we do need a negative number. Give us more of that silhouetted look. But I don't think it needs to be that high of a negative number. It could be a little bit lower. Less crunchy, which is not, we don't necessarily want it to be crunchy. Let's go into our shader editor on the ground over here. Turn specularity. Oh geez. I think, is it the roughness that needs to be adjusted? Yeah. That'll be pretty generic. We can always actually kind of paint in a little bit more shadows under where the guy's walking there. Do you think we could play with this just a tad bit more? Hey yo, how's it going? Control X or Alex. Thanks for joining the stream. Kind of messing around with the ground here to get it to kind of have a little bit more shape to it than it currently does. Let's see. There's also this sun. Just paint that out, I think, as far as that vertical line is concerned. Yeah, this is currently where I'm at. Probably going to try rendering this out. We can do a lot of shading and stuff like that to, or comping work to basically get it to where we need it to be after this. Yeah, we'll go ahead and save that. Hit the render button here, and pretty good. Which is also great because I'm getting to that point where I'm a little hungry. These streams, when they get to like 2.5 hours, it's like, okay, all right, we're getting there. You know, it's almost it's almost that time. But let's see how this looks. And then I can adjust some of the things inside of the comp. Since we are going to render this, let's go ahead and add in our... we're going to add in crypto mats. So if I go in here, I can add under crypto mat section, objects. So it would just be the different objects inside of the scene. And that's it. Other than that, we're rendering this out at 1920 by 2369, whatever that is. I think we should be good. If this does take too long to render, I'm not gonna have this stream go on for much longer then, because I can just comp this and upload this to the Instagram. There will be a time lapse. I will be posting that tomorrow. That's gonna have the whole time lapse of this stream and all of the modeling and creation of this. And then the image is also going to be at the very end of the time lapse. But if you do want to see the image before that, it'll be posted on my Instagram. Link is in the description. So go check that out. And yeah, next week I won't be here. I will not be streaming next week. So unfortunately, won't get to see you guys. But the following week, I will. So I look forward to coming back. If there's any images that you guys would like me to recreate, make sure to send those to me on Instagram or Twitter, and I can take a look at that there. But yeah, this looks like it's going to take 23 more minutes for this to render, so I'm going to probably wrap it up there. As per usual, I clicked the wrong button there. As per usual, it was great seeing you guys, and thanks for all you guys who showed up. And I will see you guys again next time. Thank you.